Guys, unfortunately, we're gonna have to move towards this. As in, the cameras will have to point towards, not to the hotel. We're getting multiple. They're like causing a fuss over it. That's why it's like.
I know we don't want to create a problem.
No, we gotta call, not from the desk people. We just gotta call. The only thing is like they're bugging with the time. Do you think it'd be possible? Because we can give you time. We know that time's not an issue. We can call. You gotta call them. Okay, I'll no worries. Let me just do that.
Yeah, do you want to call the business company?
Yeah, I'll call you.
Okay.
Call back. Perfect. Right, sir. Okay.
Not me, I'm afraid. No, I'm not the guy. We'll be here within 5 minutes.
I'm gonna take you guys' picture.
We're all ready for you. Oh, come out.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you all.
Okay, so we're just going to do a quick statement from Sami and then we'll take a few questions, only a few. He's obviously had a long flight and a long couple of weeks, if you want to just put that on. So yeah, a few questions after that, but we'll just let Sami get his mic on and we'll have a statement from him.
Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. It's good to be home. It's nice to finally be back amongst the clouds. I want to say that it's wonderful to be back after being exonerated by 2 federal judges, both of whom found that there were serious breaches of freedom of speech. I want to say that this wasn't just an attack on me. It was an attack on the freedoms of ordinary Americans and citizens worldwide. It was an attack on their freedom to speak the truth in the face of hatred. And I think that my message to the Americans, as somebody who grew to love America, who loves its people, who saw the wonderful kindness and generosity and hospitality in every single state except New Hampshire. I didn't get the chance to go to New Hampshire. It's the only state I didn't go. I saw that the Americans were amenable to truth. And I think that the reason that my visa was targeted was not because of anything that I was saying, but because Americans were listening. Because now public opinion is shifting, because people are seeing the truth. There is a concern amongst bigots, amongst extremists, that if the truth gets out, it will truly change the world. And that's why I am pleased that I was able to return home. I'm pleased that the judges found that my freedom of speech rights were infringed upon. And I'm pleased that my voice is back and that the extremists will never win. They will never prevent our voices from being loud, from resonating with the world. And I want to thank everybody who showed solidarity, everybody who stood alongside me, everybody who stood alongside justice. And I want to finish on this point. I am not the story. I am not the story. The story is one of the most heinous genocides of our time. The story is about kids who had their heads blown off. The story is about kids who had their legs blown off. The story is about innocent women and children who were bombed into oblivion for crimes they did not commit. This is about apartheid and occupation and how to stop the final apartheid outpost that exists in our modern world. I am not the story. The story is about a world that is waking up to the truth. The truth is louder than hate. The truth is louder than the bigots. The truth is louder than the extremists. They failed to silence me. They will continue to fail to silence all those voices of truth. And I'm glad that I am here in London, where our freedoms are also protected, and they will be protected in America as well, thanks to the cooler heads in the federal court system. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you to everybody who shows solidarity, and I'm happy to take a couple of questions.
We'll go to Yasmin at the BBC.
You are BBC News. Sami, what laws were you arrested and held? How were you treated while you were being held? And were you arrested because of your advocacy for Palestinians and your criticism of Israel? And Sami, I understand you were on a visitor's visa in the US. Were you breached of that visa? And why is on this occasion you were treated this way? You, of course, had been traveling in the US for some period of time.
I think this is easily answered by explaining what was on the charge sheet. On the charge sheet, the only allegation that was made was that I overstayed my visa. That visa was revoked without my knowledge on the 24th of October. I was flying from SFO, San Francisco, to Florida to give another talk about justice and freedom and rights. And as I went through SFO, I was informed that my visa had suddenly been revoked. When I was taken to the detention center, there was an immediate appeal to a federal judge who expressed such grave concern about the infringement of freedom of speech that they issued an immediate restraining order on ICE, meaning I was not to be transferred anywhere. And then another federal judge found that when there was a case of whether they had jurisdiction, the federal judge found we have jurisdiction because of the manner in which the visa was revoked, because the manner in which he was arrested, suggesting there was illegality in the way that I was arrested. I did nothing illegal in the US. Everything was within the visa. Everything was within the limits of what the visa allowed me to do. The visa was revoked because of my advocacy for Palestine. It was revoked because of my advocacy for Gaza. It was revoked because of an extremist group that decided to go to the State Department and leverage whatever influence it had to specifically target me and the Palestinian activism. It appears that calmer heads prevailed in the State Department when they realized that this was a botched job. They very swiftly came, they sat with my lawyers, they said, we don't want this to escalate, we don't want this to be a big deal, we're only doing the overstay. They didn't put any other charges in the charge sheet, and I said to them, I was supposed to be home 2nd of November, you've kept me here till 12th of November, I would like to go home because I have things to do. Based on the agreement made with the US, I am allowed to apply for a new visa. I am allowed to visit the US. There are no obstructions on me visiting the US. There is nothing on my record. I am entitled to visit the US, which is why the extremists are very upset and furious, because they thought that they would be able to accuse me of heinous crimes, and they found that 2 federal judges stood in their way because the courts are still alive, the rule of law is still alive, my freedom of speech is sacred, it is to be protected, and thank God it was protected by the federal courts. I think what is abundantly clear is that governments are recognizing the shift in public opinion that's taking place. You're from CNN from the US, you will note there are candidates running for the midterm elections who are openly saying they will no longer take APAC money. Being aware that it is no longer something that is a political asset because of the shift in public opinion, because ordinary Americans, good Americans with good hearts, who saw those images of those children being slaughtered, were so moved by it that they have decided to take a principled position against genocide. This is what I meant when I said it's not about me. What they are upset about is not what Sami Hamdi says. They're upset that Americans are waking up, that Americans are moving, that Americans are mobilizing, and there is now a hysterical push in multiple Western capitals by an extremist lobby to silence voices of truth because people are listening. So my message to Western governors is embrace this shift in public opinion. Embrace that truth and channel that into a victory like we saw with Mamdani in New York, who decided, as opposed to other candidates, not to talk about Israel or what's gone, but to talk about New York itself. America first, not Israel first. Britain first, not Israel first. That's my message to the Western governments. I think that one of the things that I admire about the UK, and indeed in the US, is that for all of the accusations that were thrown, the rule of law still stands. Twice they went to the federal courts in the US to try to push an accusation, and twice the federal court said it is unsubstantiated. Even in the UK here, despite the efforts of an extremist lobby to silence and restrict the freedom of speech of ordinary British citizens, of ordinary Americans, the courts continue to stand in their way because of the rule of law. I have faith in the rule of law. I had faith in the federal judges. I had faith in the court system, and my faith was rewarded. I am exonerated, and I'm here in London, and I'm hoping to play seven-a-side football on Sunday.
Maybe take one more question, perhaps. Is there anyone?
Will you be taking legal action against your supporters?
I am considering it, thinking about it, discussing with the lawyers. But what I will say is, one of the reasons for the hesitation is that I am aware that it was an extremist group that tried to come after me, but that there were cool heads in the State Department, there were cool heads in the federal court system who realized it was a botched operation, and they swiftly tried to repair it and make amends, which is what allowed me to depart the US without any charge and with the permission to return to the US at any time as I wish. In respect of those cooler minds, I would rather celebrate those who protected the freedom of speech of the Americans, and I wish to declare here that the extremists were defeated in this case. I won this case. The extremists failed to silence my voice. They failed to remove my freedom of speech. America stood with me against the extremist Israeli lobby. Americans stood alongside me. You saw the American media, you saw the American community, you saw ordinary Americans on the street, you saw ordinary Americans on social media. They came out for me because they believed that we shared this message of truth with one another. It is in this context that I am not entirely sure I will sue. Rather, what I will say is that I pray to Allah Almighty that Allah allows these cooler heads to prevail over these extremists, and I hope that Allah saves America from these extreme groups that are launching an onslaught and a barrage of attacks on the freedoms of ordinary Americans and the freedoms of ordinary Brits. I and the American citizens and the British citizens stand together against hatred, stand together against extremism, and I know that the Americans don't stand with the extremists, they stand with me, and that's why I'm before you here today.
Thank you very much. I think that will conclude it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sami.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You said you could speak to CNN.
Of course, yeah, sure. Hi, nice to meet you. How are you?
Guys, can we,
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
can we
Yes, go ahead.
Remember what we said about 6:30? Is that all right? Yeah. I appreciate you.
Go ahead.
let me
Yeah, so basically it's an embargo until 6:30 because of Sky.
Okay, fine.
So we'll go ahead. If we all just give a bit of space to CNN and we'll organise it.
That's fine. That's no problem.
So, alright, if I could just, I'm just gonna ask you to talk a little bit about, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Tell me, I'm not starting yet. Yep. Yeah.
Good.
How's it being home with your family?
It's lovely. It's wonderful. I'm so happy to be home.
Yeah.
Oof, what a 2 weeks.
And you got some sun
Yeah.
today as
The sun
well.
came out for me.
Yeah.
حبيبي امشي قول بحدا مامي امشي.
I'm gonna ask
Your son?
Yeah, my son. Yeah.
He's happy to see his papa, huh?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
They must have been so worried about you.
Yeah. That's
Can we get rid of this?
Yeah. Sorry. I think it belongs to him over there.
Okay. I'm gonna ask a little bit about just how you got scooped up. If you're
Sure,
able to
that's
talk
fine.
about
Go
it. I
ahead.
know your family has also talked about it. Louis
That's
is
fine.
just getting set up here. And then